The Mirrorwatch event started in Overwatch 2 yesterday, and it has some very interesting hero changes that they might want to keep. Let's have a look. I feel like I made this video just yesterday, because mere weeks after the April Fool's event, Overwatch is blessed with another limited time event that changes some of the core abilities of Overwatch 2 heroes. Some of them are really good. So much so that they seem to solve some of the outstanding issues with those heroes. Other abilities and changes are fun, but nothing to move forward with. And then there are a few abilities that are a ton of fun, but that actually might work better on other heroes, on new heroes. In any case, we're going to run over all of these changes, and I'm going to put them in one of three categories: skip, keep, and give it to another. Yeah, makes sense, right? At the end of this video, I'm going to highlight one hero that they did such a good job on that it could fit in the regular game today. But let's start out with the tanks. Doomfist. The seismic slam was updated. You leap up and you smash the ground. The big change here is that it grants overhealth to yourself and to nearby allies when you're leaping. And that last one is quite important. It took me a while to figure out that it is when you're leaping and not when you're landing. Which makes a lot of sense. You give him overhealth as you abandon them. And for his ult, he actually gives overhealth when he lands, while his power block has his shield. These are all nice, but in my opinion, that is just like the clearest translation of a villain to a hero that we could see in Overwatch. What if that bad guy Doomfist actually has a conscience and empathy, and he starts caring about others? That's the way he would do it. And look, I could commend it in real life. I think we need more empathy in the world. But in Overwatch, for Doomfist, nah. For me, this one is a skip. Next up, Reinhardt. Barrier field. His barrier field was updated. Hold the secondary fire to deploy a frontal energy barrier that increases the damage of allied projectiles. Increase the movement speed upon breaking. In other words, they're kind of making his shield into Baptiste's ultimate. I don't think Baptiste is going to like that. But on the other hand, Reinhardt does need a little bit of help. Could this be it? Nah, let's just put a pin in this for now. Earthshatter knocks down all enemies in a narrow path in front of you. Yeah, skip. This is just sheer Reinhardt harassment. Don't do it. And he got a new ability called Frenzy, a passive. The damage from his rocket hammer increases the attack speed. Oh wait. You know what? Let Baptiste keep his ultimate. I would rather see Reinhardt keeping this new passive. It just fits him so well. You just need to maybe rename it to something glorious. This will work perfectly for Reinhardt. In other words, keep. Zarya. The particle cannon primary fire fires a short-range linear beam, as it does in the normal game, but the secondary fire shoots piercing energy orbs in a straight line. In other words, the secondary fire is kinda like Symmetra's orbs. Yeah, pass. Both of her projectile barriers knock back and damage enemies upon expiring. In a few of my videos, I had mentioned that it would be a cool idea for Reinhardt to have this little burst of damage and a pushback when his shield breaks, to add that little extra element to it. And in this variation, when his shield breaks, he'll get a little speed boost. But they gave the real one to Zarya? You know what? If Ryan gets that new passive, Zarya can keep this one. I can see that it makes more sense to do it on those bubbles, because you know, you have a choice. Zarya also has a new ability called Expulsion Zone. It launches a gravity surge that pushes enemies away. I think Zarya's ultimate is fine, but this one could be fun too. If you drop this on a bridge or a choke point, maybe not as an ultimate. You know what? Give it to another. Then for some supports, Ana. Abiotic Rifle was updated. It can now do headshots. Headshots for Ana. Yeah. Keep. I mean, she is a sniper. We should have had this all along. A Biotic Grenade was also updated. Throws a grenade that heals and increases healing on allies while damaging and reducing healing. I had to read this one a few times. It took me a while to figure out that it reduces healing instead of completely stopping it. And to be honest, I think this one might happen. They've been talking about something like this for a while now. I personally would skip because I don't think it's relevant anymore, but you know, who listens to me anyways? Nano Boost was updated. You can only use it on yourself to reduce damage taken. And while under the effect of the nano, your Biotic Rifle will increase ally healing and reduce the enemy healing. In other words, self-nano, nope, skip. And I also got a new ability called Launch, which is a double jump. A double jump for Ana. Have you ever seen that old English series, Super Granny or something like that? Yeah, no. Skip. Brigitte. Repair Pack now heals an ally and grants them lifesteal. I like the idea of giving an ally lifesteal. So you basically steal the life of anybody that you're damaging. But maybe for a future talent hero. So give it to another. Whipshot. Launch your flail forward to pull an enemy closer. Roadhog says no. Skip. By the way, in one of my first games in this mode, I actually managed to pull the enemy Reinhardt towards me 3 times. And just as my Reinhardt was charging him, it was a mess. Brigitte's barrier shield also got an upgrade. If she holds out the shield and she blocks damage, it will empower her shield bash. And when that shield bash is empowered and used, it will set enemies on fire. I like this. This brings some of her dad's kind of elemental damage into her kit. And it makes her shield bash relevant again without it having to stun anybody. I think Blizzard should do this. Keep Mercy. Uh-oh. Condition Staff. Hold primary fire to heal an ally. Yeah, we know about that. Hold secondary fire to increase an ally's damage inflicted and deal damage to nearby enemies over time. That last one, that last sentence, that last little bit. What the hell? But I have to be honest, seeing that damage boost connect to the enemy player and doing damage over time on them is a very satisfying feeling. But it doesn't really fit Mercy. Let's look at the rest of her kit before we give her a final judgment. A new ability called Soul Burn detonates a fallen ally or enemy and revenge. Her new ultimate. Gain the ability to fly and fire rockets. All of her abilities are enhanced. Look, all of this is amazing, but it's not Mercy. At least not the Overwatch Mercy that we know in the normal game. It works great on the talent member, so give it to another. No, seriously, please make a hero out of this. Especially that corpse explosion. I play a lot of Necromancer in Diablo, so yeah, I like that shit. Zenyatta. His Orb of Harmony was updated. You launch this orb to an ally to heal them, but if you deal damage, you will increase that healing. I like the idea of boosting that healing through damage. I mean, yeah, Zenyatta's a monk, but he's a fighting monk, okay? And to kind of amplify his healing through that damage he does makes sense. So I'm inclined to keep this one. Orb of Discord, on the other hand. Launch this orb at an enemy to increase the damage they take and deal additional damage over time. On paper, it's a nice ability, don't get me wrong. But if they do that, they'll have to nerf the damage debuff. Or there's going to be hell to pay, so nah, just skip it. And his new ultimate, Interdiction Zone. Create a field that prevents enemies from using abilities. And I love this concept. It's basically Sombra's ultimate, but it lasts longer, while on the other hand, it is escapable. And if I'm really honest, I think this would actually make a good replacement for her current ult. She would take less risk when using her ultimate. She could plan it better, she could aim it better. There's a lot of advantages for Sombra. And for her victims, they can actually escape it. So my conclusion is, give it to another. Being Sombra. Alright, DPS. Bastion. Configuration Recon. Mobile with a powerful shotgun. This is a tough one. When I'm in game and I'm facing a Soldier, a Bastion, and a Moga, it sometimes sounds like I'm listening to a battle between the drummer for Cattle Decapitation, which is actually a band, and a jackhammer. So bringing down the rate of fire on the old Omnic would not necessarily be a bad thing. On the other hand, it's Bastion. Yeah, let's look at the other abilities first. A new ability called Configuration Intel reveals nearby enemies and increases the attack and reload speed. So a bit of a boost while you basically scan the area. Okay. The 836 tactical grenade was updated. It does no longer deal damage to Bastion himself. This is actually a pretty nice mobility change. You can use that grenade to launch yourself on balconies, roofs, whatever. And I think he needs it, especially since they still refuse to make him turn into a jet, which I've been suggesting for years now. And then he has a new ultimate. Configuration Reinforcement. Become immobile and deploy up to 4 allied slicers. Is this a pet ability? I have been asking for a pet hero for years. And Blizzard themselves told me that it was not possible, that they had reasons not to do it. And yeah, it's not like the pet hero I had in mind, but it is way closer than Bob is, for instance. Come on, Blizzard. That was the final drop. I mean, I'm not against this variation of Bastion, but I do think they need to give it to another. That pet hero, make it happen. Echo. Yeah, I'm sorry. It was a stupid joke. The sticky bombs were updated. Fire a volley of homing sticky bombs that detonate after a delay. That homing part definitely helps clumsy f***s like myself. So, yeah, keep. And on top of that, it actually looks kind of better. It has this kind of cool animation to it. Fly was also updated. Fly forward quickly and then free fly briefly. It damages and knockbacks enemies. Yeah, okay, fine. It makes sense that this metal robot that flies into you should do damage and push you back. But on the other hand, that fly forward part, it's one of the most frustrating experiences I've had in Overwatch in general. She just kind of boosts forward, like there's nothing else you can do. Skip. She also has an updated focusing beam. Channel the beam for a few seconds that slows enemies and deals very high damage to targets with less than half health. This is actually a bit of an evil change. So by slowing down those enemies that you target with your beam, you'll actually hit them even harder. But if we are already keeping those homing grenades, I think we can skip on this one. I think Echo would become a little too easy, a little too powerful. And she has a new ultimate called Maximum Efficiency. Increases attack speed and reduce all cooldowns. Yeah, no, skip. Sombra. I'm going to list all of her changes before I give my final judgment. You'll see why in a minute. Her hack was updated. Hold to hack your allies and enemies. Hacked allies have an increased attack speed and overhealth. Hacked health packs spawn faster and can be used by enemies. Taking damage interrupts the hack attempt. There's an updated virus. Infect enemies with a projectile that deals damage over time and decreases their damage dealt. Virus damages hacked enemies at a faster rate. And there's a new ability called Antivirus, which is an alt, grants health and increased attack speed to yourself and nearby allies. Remember when I talked about Doomfist? This is kind of similar. They take this evil hero and they inject a dose of empathy. And trust me, I think Sombra has way more empathy than most people think. And sure, I like the idea of a puppet master or like a bard, just buffing and debuffing everybody as they fight each other. But that doesn't really work for Sombra or for Overwatch, so I'm going to have to skip. Tracer. Her blink was updated. Teleport in the direction that you are moving. Take damage to teleport additional times. I can't shake the feeling that I've seen this before. I feel like they tested it in another event or something. It might have been one of those PvE talents. But that being said, I'm actually quite okay with this one. Lore-wise, it also kind of makes sense that overusing her chronal accelerator will actually come at a cost. And when it comes to actual gameplay, it gives Tracer players more of a chance to lean in to the kit, but they'll have to make a choice, which is always nice. So I'm going to say keep. Tracer also has a new ability called Bloodthirst. After dealing enough continuous damage, attack speed is increased and damage steals health from enemies. This is kind of like Reinhardt's new passive. It's actually better than Reinhardt's passive, but I would give this to another. Okay, the final one, the final on this list, in my opinion, the best one yet, Widowmaker. And look, I almost never play Widowmaker. The only time I play Widowmaker is if my Twitch chat kind of forces me to play it, because I'm a bit of a dumbass, and yeah, I have this one reward where people can choose which hero I play. I really need to remove that reward. But let me read out the changes. Her weapon, Widow's Kiss, was updated. Automatic assault weapon. Hold secondary fire for a long-range sniper weapon. Up till now, everything is normal. But now it gets interesting. Charged shots reveal enemies. In other words, if you hit your target once, you'll be able to track them if you use the charged shot. Next up is a new ability called Silk Shield. Place a protective barrier. It's a rather small barrier, but still. And then Infrasight was updated, her ultimate. It highlights weak points on enemies. As I just said, I don't play Widow myself, but I've been playing alongside Widowmakers for close to 8 years now. And one of the most common complaints I hear from Widowmakers is, well, Genji, but also her ultimate. It's just so, On the other hand, always knowing where your enemies are at is kind of a good thing for a sniper. This build, for this event, for Widowmaker, is the perfect solution. It removes that scan to an ability that actually makes a lot of sense, and it gives her a new ultimate that is so lore accurate, it hurts. It's genius. Whoever thought of this should get a raise. And then they should be fired, because they gave her a freaking shield. Can you stop licking those mushrooms that are growing on your office wall? Please. All kidding aside, this is good. Sure, leave the shield out. But other than that, this is a double keep. And I don't say this lightly. This might get me to play Widowmaker. For about 3 minutes, after which I realized that I have the aim of a chimp flinging his pope. Yeah, that was the whole list. Now, first off, tell me in the comments which abilities you would like them to keep, or which ones you want them to remove immediately. But what are the chances that we'll actually see any of this in the game someday? In some cases, rather high. I really feel like the hero design team is looking for some community validation with this event. For some of the ideas they have with heroes or even new heroes, while others are just in there for pure lore reasons. You know what the best thing is? They can do an event like this again and try some new changes. Mirrorwatch 2. And hopefully that one will get at least some lore. But I'll make a separate video about that. For now, however, that was it. A huge thank you to my patrons. I could not make these videos without you guys. You have my eternal gratitude. Check out this video on some of the Easter eggs that you might have missed on the new Hanaoka map. Click it. But above all, take care of yourself, take care of each other. Bye-bye.